Hi, ANSHU-Sharma here. Welcome and my love to you. We continue part 2 of emotional integration. In our previous talk, we discussed why emotional integration is important. We also discussed emotional integration involves the steps of awareness, acknowledgement, analysis, gratitude, response, and finally integration. So let us continue how we analyze our emotions. Analysis. Analysis is the next step after acknowledgement. Here we take steps to discover the reasons of feeling emotions. We also pay attention to our reactions. Having a gratitude towards emotions helps us a great deal. We thank emotions for coming into our life. Energy of gratitude is big. Sometimes just having a gratitude creates acceptance within and dissolution of the emotion, but not always. Gratitude starts off a process and it also speeds the process of analysis. We become open to and we welcome solutions. This is self-love, leading to self-work, promising to make our life better and happier. Then we pay attention to our reactions and situations triggering similar emotions. We take a pause and think why in similar situations we react in similar manner. When an issue triggers, we pay attention. We write it down or we take a mental note of it if the pen or paper is not available. And later, after the issue has passed, we set aside some time to investigate or self-inquire or reflect on the incident, why it happened, and what was our reaction at that time. Our emotions become important and then we do not suppress them anymore. We start feeling our emotions. Unless we feel our emotions, we cannot release them. Remember, we discussed two things. First, the issue has come into our awareness and then we start acknowledging our emotions. We allow them to come on the surface fully. In that process, if we get upset again, we feel that upset. If tears roll down our cheeks, we allow them. We feel those emotions again. Sometimes what happens, the ego keeps making the stories. And an emotional charge gets created in our mind. Depending upon the intensity and the length of time we experienced negative emotions over and over again, more time it takes when we bring them to surface. But we allow it. It is not necessary. We can bring hidden emotions lying in the recesses of our mind consciously. So it is not necessary that we keep them buried and keep on suppressing them more. It might be for years you have suppressed them, but it is time now to bring them out in your conscious awareness. Why we live with a particular emotion from few weeks to years? Why it happens? And sometimes people live with a particular emotion, they do not seek any resolution to it life after life. There are many reasons. We live with a particular emotion. Let's discuss the reasons why we do not acknowledge or we choose to live with a particular emotion. First thing, we do not have the knowledge that we can deal with our emotions. Nobody taught us. We were not taught this knowledge in the school. Then we do not have tools to deal with the situation. Then even if we recognize the emotion is there, we do not take self-responsibility. We always like to throw the blame or just someone else, make someone else responsible for our emotions. We do not bring in qualities in to deal with the situation. That needs effort. We have to take self-responsibility and bring in the qualities that we lack in order to face that emotion. Sometimes we do not protect ourselves. We lack the knowledge that self-protection is definitely required. Or sometimes we realize that our reactions somehow protect us. They come to our rescue at the time of the need. So we keep on using the same reaction. We need to understand all reactions come or stem from unconsciousness. Issues keep repeating themselves because we are living in an unconscious manner. We are not paying attention. We are not taking time to reflect or change our ways of doing things. As the time passes, simple habits become strong habits, strong mental patterns that are called samskars. And they remain into our subconscious mind as mental patterns ingrained in grooves, energetic grooves. But this process is reversible with introspection, reflection, and contemplation. We can become conscious. Knowledge starts coming to us. This knowledge leads us to self-responsibility. And then self-work follows. When we apply this knowledge in our lives, applied knowledge becomes wisdom. So, are you feeling helpless? In the case of feeling helpless, what do we do? Or what people do? People feel helpless and say, what can I do? He or she is manipulative. He is domineering. Or she is a liar, so on. So we start labeling other people with different labels. We start judging people. All labeling and judging, it may be true. Humans have an innate intelligence and are aware of what is going on in our lives. Intuitively, people understand who is operating from which agenda. What most humans lack is understanding in dealing with the rising emotions within. Well, we say to such people, those who have been saying, or we start labeling or judging people, pat your back for at least being aware. Now take the second step of acknowledging your emotion. Then take it further in studying and analyzing your emotions. Stopping your reactions is the next step. And finally, you start observing people reactions of the other people who are involved in the conflict. Patience and tolerance is needed along with the power of silence. We study our own reactions. We start studying the reactions of the people involved. All this self-work is done in silence. At the root level, nature works in silence. All self-work is done by the self and for the benefit of the self alone. It doesn't matter which end of the rope we loosen, the rope gets loosened. Meaning, one party is required to do the work in order to dissolve the tension and becoming free from the conflicting situation. Life is like a game of tennis. The champion is the one who not only knows his own moves but knows the moves of others as well. Our reactions can be verbal or non-verbal. Stopping impulsive reactions is very important for our growth. This is changing our nature. And changing our nature takes time. So be prepared. Allow yourself daily some time and a little bit more time during conflicting or unhappy situations. It is not about changing others. Most of the emotional integration takes place when we are able to control our reactions and we start mentally processing them. Whatever is left, and if there is still need for an action, we can observe reactions of people concerned and then calculate our response. If required, then we put that response into action. Now our reaction has transformed into a response. What happens when we practice controlling our reactions and bringing in responses instead? There is an energy distortion beneath every emotional turbulence. And that energy starts to balance. When we are throwing out reactions after reactions, the energy doesn't balance. It remains the same unbalanced state. Once with a calculated response, the energy starts to balance. Once a balance is achieved, miracles happen. The issues disappears from your lives. The behavior of people concerned changes. Emotional storms transform into peace, love and happiness. And this is very empowering to the self. Analysis can take many forms. We can take therapy. We can choose to write. We can start meditation. We can communicate with other people. We can do self-reflection and contemplation. And we can draw pictures. But attention has to be on the emotions. Basically, we take up whatever form of analysis works for us and whatever feels right to us. Important thing is we pay attention and have a determined thought that we need to free ourselves from these negative emotions that are draining my energies. We can ask ourselves some questions during analysis, like, why do I behave like this? What is there in me that makes me do that? Makes me do that repeatedly? What memory is triggering? With what childhood images? This emotion is bringing again and again into my mind. How is it making me feel? How is my health being affected? What will happen if I do the things differently? Can I control my verbal and non-verbal reactions? And how do I do that? What do I do when I control my verbal or non-verbal reactions? Practice is needed initially. A lot of practice is needed. Like any other thing, till we become expert. So now the fourth step comes gratitude, which we have sort of already touched. We feel gratitude and we thank the person involved who has brought this issue under our conscious control. It is never about the other person. It is about the lesson we have to learn. Somewhere our energies are unbalanced. He or she is merely being a messenger. At soul level, your messengers love you deeply and care about your growth and ascension. Sometimes in your carelessness and laziness, you fail to pay attention to your life and various issues it is presenting. So inherently we are careless and we are lazy because those issues are repeatedly appearing in our lives and we are not paying attention. These issues are vital for our growth and they present opportunity for us to learn and emerge our talents and specialities. Even in the midst of emotions, gratitude becomes important if we remember. Because gratitude opens our mind to expand and focus on learning the lesson rather than blaming the other person. So we keep focusing, what is the lesson I have to learn? What talent and specialities I have to bring out to deal with this situation? I take self-responsibility for my own peace and happiness. This person is only bringing it out to my attention, which I am not doing. Now, response. When our mind is relatively clear, we focus on the response. We focus on our mental clarity regarding emergence of similar issues triggering similar emotions and reactions in us. If we are able to integrate our emotions through mental analysis alone, it is good. But many a times we experience the re-emergence of the same emotions again and again. And we have given it a thought. This indicates that something else needs to be done. And that something is a change in our behavior. The behavior cements our response. in a more concrete manner. Like for example, we have analyzed that we are not going to be angry. But when the situation comes, we get angry again. Because our response to do something else has not come into our behavior. In order to find a balance, hope and ways to grow, we change our response by changing our behavior. A response can be verbal or non-verbal. It can be an action or non-action. It can be communication or postponement of communication. There is no particular definition of a response. The only thing important is that you have given it a thought. That if that similar situation visits again, what am I going to do? Or not do? For instance, a response can simply be handing over the situation to Almighty or to someone of higher authority. Your response can also be remain silent and do nothing. Now, how is silence and doing nothing very different from suppression we originally started with? Are we suppressing again because we are choosing to be silent and do nothing? No. Now it is different because your response is conscious. It is not unconscious like suppression before, and it is deliberate. Choosing to be tolerant and do nothing at a particular time can be also a powerful choice. It depends on the person choosing at that time. The person knows his circumstances well and thinks perhaps rocking the boat at this time perhaps is not a good idea. Waiting for a right time or investing in acquiring skills could be better choices. So he chooses to be or she chooses to be silent. But at the same time decides to invest in acquiring skills. Whatever it is, choice gives you power. Choice is not passive. We do not feel stuck when we make a choice because you have made a choice. We have processed our emotions and we have arrived at a decision. So it becomes our decision. In the process, our strong emotions dissolve and our mind becomes clear and we can take necessary actions on next available opportunity. Or if required and we feel confident, we can take the action there and then. So we consider various options and we make a choice. We make a decision. We also consider self-protection. We consider the boundaries and borders in mind before we decide our physical response. Any response has to take consideration of your self-protection and your boundaries. We choose a response that brings peace, courage, empowerment, and wisdom to us. And also we consider how our particular response affects people around us. Then accordingly we modify or take up another response. Our response in alignment with everyone concerned should be considered. But sometimes it may not happen. We have considered that everybody involved We have considered our response. But sometimes considering everyone cannot be done, and it is not in your favor at that time, but you have considered it. But as long as you have given a good thought to a situation and people concerned, it is okay. The choice we make may or may not work in a manner we decide. What is most important is that we have made a choice, we have made a decision, and we have considered everybody involved. Now we are making a conscious choice. And this conscious choice is itself very empowering. There is no such thing as making a right or a wrong choice. If our chosen response doesn't work well in a situation, it does not matter. But we have the tools. We are taking responsibility. We are choosing. We are investing in learning and acquiring new skills. We are in control. We can always define our next response. If one response hasn't worked in a situation, we do not beat ourselves. No. We become creative in finding the next response till we discover what works and what brings the positive emotions such as peace, happiness, and joy back into our lives. When we have done it, then it brings peace and happiness in our life, and not only that, this increases our self-esteem and self-confidence. Putting it all together is called integration. The whole process of awareness, acknowledgement, analysis, gratitude, and choosing response is called emotional integration. For example, Julie's mother passed away when she was young, and her mother wanted her to become a doctor. At that time, Julie was confused and could not see herself in that role and pursued some other career instead. Her mother passed away. Maybe her mother was in peace with her decision, but Julie was not. It hurt her whenever she thought of her dead mother. She felt the pain of her mother's expectations of her to become a doctor, which she didn't. She understood that her mother never expressed her wishes and perhaps accepted her decision, but in spite of all the arguments and analysis she did, she still felt guilty. One day she acknowledged her feelings of hurt and talked to a doctor who explained her pros and cons of being a doctor. The negative side of being a doctor which she was not seeing. And he also showed her a bigger picture she was in now of the career of her choice, which was bringing her not only happiness but the strengths in her. She finally understood. She felt relieved and moved on. The feelings of hurt and guilt were gone because she acknowledged, processed, and integrated her emotions. Peace and gratitude came back or returned into her life. What can help us in final resolution, we do not know. Sometimes talking to someone at the right time helps us quickly. Sometimes it can take years. It may take other therapies. Important aspect is keeping our attention on healing and freeing ourselves and gaining back that lost energy, our self-esteem and our self-confidence. The process of emotional integration takes us out of acting in an unconscious manner due to unresolved emotions. When we do not integrate our emotions, we feel stuck. And we keep experiencing similar emotions over and over again. This makes us feel miserable. And in time, we lose our self-confidence and self-esteem. The joy of living and vitality of life diminishes. Negative, unresolved emotions remain in our energy fields, attracting more of similar situations, which we do not know. In an unconscious manner, the same similar situations keep repeating. But when we pay attention, our awareness increases. It increases our concentration and alertness. We apply introspection, we contemplate on our situations, and we reflect. These energies, introspection, contemplation, alertness, awareness, reflections, are high energies. They are high energies of soul. When we practice them, we increase them. These energies increase our mental powers. They increase our intelligence. And in turn, they increase our capacity to solve our problems. When we are no longer afraid of our feelings, we are no longer afraid of life. The joy of living returns. Once we begin the process of emotional integration, we begin to bear the unbearable. We make a decision. We take an ownership of our emotions. And in turn, we take ownership of our life. We become more emotionally integrated and become whole. Emotions fragment our life. We become whole and complete. We experience greater peace and feel more alive. Now you may ask, how long will this journey take? It doesn't matter how long it takes. But this journey is worth taking. We do not want these emotions to go from life to life. We do not want to keep creating situation and keep feeling those negative emotions over and over again. This journey is worth taking. For as long as it takes, it is worth transforming lower emotional energies into higher positive emotions. Peace, joy, and happiness are the positive emotions, and these are also the higher energies. Thanks for listening. This was the final conclusive part of our two-part series on emotional integration. Following these guidelines, I am sure it will bring a lot of great benefit and freedom from negative emotions to you. When you free yourself from negative emotions, you will experience love, joy, and happiness return into your system. Your whole reality will change. Now, if you are feeling love and joy and happiness, similar situations will start coming into your life more and more. Lots of love. Take care.